Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Safe for Work Gaming. This is Ironica, and in this video, I am going to go over this soul farming technique that can be done in the early game, as well as finally set down what I can and cannot use. Now, something you might notice if you watched my other two videos is I kept mentioning that I can't use a shield. But look what I'm about to do here. I just equipped a shield. Well, I shall get to that in this video. I have scoured the scenes from the MCU and I have found justification for this. However, it is really only for this. I can't really use it in a regular battle once I get my twin blade. And I shall go over all that later, but first let me show you exactly how this works. So you run to this corner, as you saw, and you just hold up your shield. Now with these white knights, you really want them to do their little dance, the side and attack. That will knock them off. With these big guys, you just kind of stand there. Kind of wait for them to come and attack you. And when they do, you just hold up the block. And when they come forward, you kind of try to push them off. Help them take swimming lessons, if you say. Now really, there's only two hard enemies in this spot. Well, not really hard, but that can kill you. The White Knight, even though this one just decided to walk right off, if they just keep regular attacking you, it actually does reduce your endurance a lot quicker than these big guys with big swords and clubs. I don't know why, they just do. Second one is these guys, which there is only one in the set of 5. As you're about to see, when he does his horizontal swipe, it hits you with enough force to knock you off. Now really, it's very easy, as you're about to see when I come back, to just run past everyone, get your souls, and get in position again. See, I just dodged those two, and they shall chase me all the way up. I dodged that one. Sometimes I get hit. But you need to remember, the one with the big club, they have a slight delay in their attack. So when it looks like they're about to come down, wait for like a second before you roll. See, you just stand there and wait for them to come. And you just block. So as you see, he did the sidestep again. This guy, you want them to come vertically down on you, especially the guy with the big sword. And I can stand here, shoot that guy, and just wait for them here. Wait for them to go. And sometimes they like to do a little dance. Sometimes I join them in that dance as well. As you can see, he came down vertically on me, and it doesn't really affect me. And I'd start pushing him until it pushes him off, and he dies of natural causes. And as soon as that guy dies, the other two peeps in there automatically come after you. So when you go into the room, you would see 3 tall guys, one in the middle with a big sword, and 2 sword and shields on each side. The first one that actually gets to you is actually the one on the left. He seems like he just starts booking it as soon as the other guy falls, while the guy on the right takes his sweet time. And as you can see right here, you sometimes have to actually shoot him or bait him before he actually gets to you. Now see, you can kind of see that if I wasn't in the right position, that one attack would have made me fall into the water. Let's see if he does a regular attack. And because it's such a narrow place, sometimes they just run back and forth. And sometimes the white ones just run off the edge like that, which is very nice for me. Okay, and then once you get all that, you just run on back. Now it looks like on that ledge that, I can just jump and make it across. I'm going to show you. Right there, it's a Lloyd's Talisman. But it looks like when you're coming back, you can jump off that ledge. But if you view it from the other side, you see that it's a bigger gap. So if you really want to be brave, go ahead and try to jump. You can let me know if it works. I'm just not that brave. So anyways, I'll just keep this video running. And now time for the actual rules. So I am mainly basing it off of the MCU Hawkeye. Now when I say MCU, I mean the movies, not the shows. I have not seen Hawkeye. I do not have Disney Plus for various reasons. And so I can't really judge based off what he did. Another note, I am basing it off when he is actually Hawkeye. So in game, when he's technically Ronin, and see? There you go, he knocked me off again. At least he followed. But anyways, when he was technically Ronin, and he had a sword and was killing all the people, I do not count that as him actually being Hawkeye. He did not become Hawkeye again until, I can't remember the planet name, but when he and Natasha started fighting for the Soul Stone. That is when he pulled his bow out for the first time and actually used it. And so I see that is the time where he ditched being Ronin and became Hawkeye again. So I can use bows, obviously. I mean, that's who he is. He's the archer. I can use any arrows, as Hawkeye has a lot of special arrows. A lot more in, say, like the comics and TV shows that you see. But even in movies, if you look throughout it, you'll see, for instance, in the first Avengers, he tries to shoot Loki. Loki catches it, looks to the side and smirks, and then it blows up in his face. And then in Civil War, he uses the arrows that uses electricity to stall vision. And even in Age of Ultron, he uses a stun arrow on Wanda when Wanda was brainwashing everyone. So I can use any arrows. Obviously, Hawkeye in the movie wouldn't be shooting poison arrows. But I mean, it's a difference between fantasy in the past and superheroes in modern day. So, and I know I'm sorry, I get the movie. Oh yes, it is actually in the movie, in the first Avengers, when Loki had him under control, he shot the arrow that ended up hacking the helicarrier. So, as another trick arrow, obviously I don't have a hacking arrow in this game. So, there you go. Now, the fun part. I'm going to show you clips of the additional weapons I can use. And I want to see how many of you realize that he actually had a shield in his scene. So since I showed you the shield first, I'll give you 5 seconds to see if you guess what the scene is. Have you guessed it yet? Well, in Age of Ultron, during the first fight with Ultron, after the whole hammer scene, and everyone is fighting kind of unequipped, except for Thor, of course, because he always has his hammer. There is this very short scene in the movie. Enjoy. Did you see that? Right there, Hawkeye picked up Captain America's shield. Now you might be asking yourself, I didn't see Hawkeye, I just saw someone with pants. That could have been anyone in the group. Well, my good friend, here's more evidence.
Cap!
Did you see that beautiful throw from Hawkeye? He had Captain America's shield, and he threw it. Let's watch that again, because it was such a nice throw.
Cap! 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 Cap!
You have no idea how happy I am that I found that scene. I spent quite some time traversing all of Hawkeye's scenes, all the things I could think of, to figure out if he ever used not just a shield, but just held up anything that could represent a shield. So when I found that clip, I was so happy. Mainly because early game archery only, even though this is a Hawkeye playthrough, not just archery only, I'm not going to get the twin blade until the Lost Bastille, I believe it's called. Somewhere in there is the twin blade. So until then, I am stuck with wooden arrows. Now, as you saw in the first couple of episodes, just the average guy takes 3 to 4 wooden arrows, and they give me basically 60 souls. So I would only be technically gaining 2 arrows per kill. So you can guess how long it would take for me to stock up my arrows so I have a comfortable amount, which is really a few hundred, as well as gaining up enough levels to get my stats where they're comfortable for the first part of the game. So when I found that, I was super excited. Okay, so speaking of the twin blade, I was incorrect when I mentioned it before. He probably did use it in the animated series, so sometimes I might get confused with if MCU movie Hawkeye did it, or if in the Avengers cartoon show. Not the one with Falcon, the really good one. If he used it there. So, I believe in the cartoon there's been times when he ran out of arrows and he did use his bow as a staff. But in this scene from Captain America Civil War, when he is fighting Black Panther, this is the scene where that justifies me with using a twin blade.
We haven't met yet. I'm Clint.
I don't care.
So in that scene, that is specifically what I was thinking about when I said that Hawkeye can use a twin blade. But as you saw, it was not this huge, gigantic thing. So if anyone has ever seen any playthrough of Dark Souls 2, you know the most powerful twin blade are basically 2 broadswords put together. That does not look like a bow at all. So I am only going to focus on the basic one and maybe tier 2. From the pictures online I see, it still looks like, it kind of looks similar to his bow when he shifts it into a staff. So I might allow that. I'll just have to wait and see what it looks like when I get it. But I'm not going to go all upgrade to the strongest twin blade. Also, another note. As you saw, he only switched to the staff version of his bow when he saw Black Panther take 2 exploding arrows to the face and not even flinch. So I'm going to kind of use that rule where when I know arrows are almost basically useless against a boss, I'll go ahead and start using the twin blade. As of now, there's only technically 2 bosses, but probably just 1 boss I have in mind. I am not really planning on using arrows much. If I can, which I believe I will be able to, I will poison him with arrows and then switch to the twin blade. If you want to know which one I'm planning on it, then go ahead and like this video, comment below, and I'll answer your questions. I'll tell you my future plans and everything. So we saw why I can use a bow, obviously Hawkeye. Why I can use a shield, but only really in this situation. I'm not going to be wielding the twin blade and a shield, because I'm actually more of a shieldless type of guy anyways. And we saw why I can use the twin blade. Now, going back to Age of Ultron, there is a hammer scene. And technically Hawkeye did hold a hammer. But look what happened when he tried to use it.
You know I've seen this before, right? Still don't know how you do it.
Smell the silent judgment?
Please, Stark, by all means.
So as you can see, Hawkeye can't use a hammer. Now I understand it's Thor's hammer, it's enchanted, only those who are worthy can pick it up, yada yada yada. However, for this, I'm going to take out any type of hammers, or swords, or clubs, or basically everything else. Now, I know in the animated series, he did use a wrist crossbow. If you think of Natasha's little stinger she has, think of that, but it's like a little bow dash crossbow that shoots little bolts out. I particularly don't care that much for crossbows. I mentioned this before. The bow and crossbows has the same cost. It has the draw and the firing. The only difference is with the bow, the draw, or when you draw the arrow, that comes before the attack, while with the crossbow, it comes after the attack. So the benefit of a crossbow is, as soon as you hit the button, you shoot. The downside is, if you don't time it right, you'll be loading the crossbow and get a hammer to your face, or a sword, or all the other things that Dark Souls offers. So there's actually one more thing that I could technically use. I say technically, because if you've seen Avengers, you know this scene. However, I'll explain why I probably will not use it after this. So, as you can see, Hawkeye actually used a knife Now, there are some nice knives in this game. The reason I am not using a knife is purely by choice. Because not only in that scene was the knife ineffective and got him to bump his head on a rail, but honestly, the knife, for me at least, an average player who really enjoys this game, is really only effective at the start of the game. Yeah, at the start of the game, I enjoy just using wooden arrows as well as iron arrows when I finally unlocked the next blacksmith. And just using a knife, I see that more of a challenge in itself. Like if I want to go pure melee, if I want to say, hey, I'm going to play a thief, because there is a thief class, and he starts with a knife. But other than that, I don't particularly like knives. I think I mentioned before my favorite melee weapons are actually halberds. They're just fun, and I enjoy slow but strong weapons compared to fast but weak weapons. And so that's particularly why I'm not going to use the knife. Now, I think that is everything that I need to explain for this run. I hope you enjoyed this information. And again, if you have any questions, just please leave a comment. I am always willing to answer anything you ask, even if it's a spoiler or later in the run. I'll answer it, because some people like spoilers so they know what to look forward to. And so, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. This is Ironica, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.